When you're ready.
Are we all ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday afternoon. It's 1:30. It's time for Ready for the Apple Pie with your host, Steve Mitchell and Carl West.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Carl.
How many people are using frozen pastry? First of all,
Me, I'm using frozen.
yeah. How many other people are using frozen
What, Carl?
first? How many people are using frozen pastry first? Everybody.
Me.
Give us a wave.
That's good.
Give us a wave so we can see. Who's making their own pastry?
We're gonna make our own frozen.
Oh, okay. Yes, some people have got just rolls, so they've got their pastry ready. Holly, are you making your own pastry?
No.
No, you're using just roll. Okay, that's okay. Rightio, Carl. So, what's the first thing we're going to do today?
Good. Right. First of all, we're going to put the ovens on. I've got to take this out now. Put on. 2 seconds, guys.
Are we going to do my own pastry?
Real show, isn't it?
Well,
I know. Are we going to make our own pastry though?
It's 200 degrees Celsius, 180
100
degrees.
degrees Celsius. 180 if you've got a fan oven, and gas mark 6. So I'll do that now. $80 centigrade. Then, how many people have already stewed their apples and the fruit?
Or more to the point, how many people are using tinned?
And how many people are using tin fruit? Yeah.
Doesn't mention anywhere in the instructions having to stew everything.
Hands up if you're using tinned.
Oh, unless you're using tinned. But we have got the apples. If we peel them and cut them into cubes, put them into a saucepan with 3/4 of water and a bit of sugar to give them taste. If you haven't already done that. Kim had said stew apples before we start this week.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, sorry. So if you're following us live and you haven't stewed your apples, basically you need to start stewing your apples now. So you need to get yourself a saucepan and you need to peel and chop your apples. And then you need to put them in the saucepan with some hot water and bring them up to the boil and then let them boil for a bit.
Unless you're using tinned stuff.
Unless you use tin stuff.
Until they're nice and mushy. I was giving the instructions for how to stew apples.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Now, what are you doing with the milk, Carl?
I'm doing some pastry, but I've got some roll, just roll.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right here. So,
I've only got one-
Carl's, how do you make your own pastry, Carl?
6 ounces of flour, 3 ounces of margarine, a pinch of salt, and a bit of water or milk to gather it together. And add your
Okay.
milk as and when you need it.
So what do you do with your flour and your margarine?
You do the fingers, the fingertips. and
Okay, can you move your camera
mix it
around and
as
show us how you,
bread.
can you move your camera around and show us your how you're doing that, Carl?
I think it's
At the
referred
moment we
to,
can see your fridge.
I think it's referred to as the breadcrumbs technique, isn't it?
It is, but we'd like to see how Carl does it because we can see his kitchen beautifully, but we can't see
Him, yeah.
his hands.
I would say.
Can you put your camera down slightly, Carl?
I would say, is that really a bad thing?
Right, can you move your camera down, Carl, slightly? Oh, that's down quite a lot. There's his flour anyway.
That's too far down.
It is. We need to see your bowl. We need to see your bowl.
Two seconds. Flying silly buggers. See me now. We have got the bowl. We have got flour. We have got 6 ounces of flour and 3 ounces of margarine. The next tip is make it nice and cold. Mine are red hot, so mine will go wrong.
So you need
But
to keep your
get
hands very cold.
They're supposed to be cold, but and then we put in 6 ounces of margarine, 6 ounces of flour to 3 ounces of butter. Now we're going to do what we normally do when we've made breadcrumbs. So we're basically rubbing the margarine and flour together. Right, so sort of that,
Using your thumbs and fingers.
using your thumbs and fingers.
I was going to say, you're playing a piano. Are you making breadcrumbs there, Steve, or playing an imaginary piano?
I'm making breadcrumbs. So I'm doing an imaginary breadcrumbs because I haven't got a bowl and I haven't got any flour and I haven't got any butter. But nevertheless, always make sure your butter's nice and cold before you even start. That's a good thing, really. And as Carl says, keep your hands cold. You might want to run them under the cold trap and dry them off every so often just to keep them nice and cold.
And then test them on your half. Make sure they are cold. If she screams, you know the cold.
Now, how are you doing, Carl? How are the breadcrumbs, as it were?
Coming along.
Can you show us? Can you lift the bowl up and show us? Hold it so we can see inside it.
Hang on a second. Just let me. Like so.
Oh yes, there you go.
Don't forget to put your pinch of salt in the bowl.
What do we do next?
Either add a little bit of water, or as much water as you want to get it together. So I'm using milk because I'm being cheeky. And we just put that together.
Have you made a pastry base?
I've done a pastry base before now. I did one last night.
6 ounces of what? And we got the word
6
flour
ounces.
down.
6 ounces of flour, 3 ounces of margarine or butter, and a little bit of salt. And then you're using milk, aren't you, Carl, to bind
I'm
it?
using milk, but you can use water, which will bring it together anyway.
Or you could use a little bit of egg if you wanted to, not a whole egg. You'd have to crack your egg and then kind of mix it up and put a little bit of egg
Is
in,
it
and that
milk
makes a
and
nice
water?
Yeah, you have to be
Yes.
careful with the milk and water, William. Don't pour in too much. Put it in drop by drop until it becomes a nice, good pastry consistency. Otherwise, it'll end up too wet.
Do
What?
we use egg?
Do we use egg?
No,
If you want, oh, okay, we're not going to use egg today. We won't do the egg method then. Just use some milk or some water.
we use the egg later. We do need an egg, but we'll use it later.
I can use it.
So is yours looking like dough yet, Carl?
I'll do it in a second when I've needed it. It does look like dough, yes. But I'm just gonna knead it with some more flour.
I noticed you had some more flour then. Why did you add more flour, Carl?
Because I put too much milk in.
Okay. So if it gets too wet, don't worry. You can add a bit more flour just to make it a dough consistency. You don't want it to slop, basically.
Basically, you want it in a circle. No, it's too bloody dry. Look, people are using, what's it? I'm using both at the minute.
Are you?
I'm using pastry. I'm using dust roll and making my own pastry at the minute.
No, while you're going to
Need a
do,
bottom,
while you're
'cause
doing
you need
that,
a
I'm just going to
bottom.
check in.
Need a bottom and you need a top. And I've only got one
Good
roll
one,
of pastry, so
I'm just going to
hopefully.
check in with William. How are you doing, William, there? Are you all right? He's probably got very mucky hands. He doesn't want to come and press any buttons. Otherwise, your computer's going to be covered in dough. Holly, are you okay there?
Yeah.
You're just waiting for us to get to the point where we roll it out, aren't you?
Yeah.
Thought so. And Kerry, are you waiting for us to roll it out as well?
Yes, I'm ready. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Is yours ready to roll yet, Carl?
Yeah.
Mm,
Lovely.
it looks good from in here. You can mostly see plastic bowl.
Okay.
You have to bring some with you when me and you meet up, Carl, so I can taste it.
Mhm.
Oh, say hello.
Hello, love.
Do we boil apples?
Yes, have you got your apples cooking, William?
Not yet. We just chop them up.
Okay, that's great. When you've chopped them up, I find it only takes about 5 or 10 minutes to do the apples. They don't need a lot. You don't want them to go too mushy. If they go too mushy, it'll be slop in a pastry and they'll make the pastry too wet. So you want to make them so they're... Do you know how to cook potatoes, William?
Yeah. Do you know how to cook potatoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know when the potatoes are done, you put your fork in and you just feel them, that consistency. Same with apples.
Yeah.
You put your fork into the apples, and if they feel like they're a bit soft, they're probably ready to go in. Some people like really kind of solid apples in their apple pies, and some people find they like slushy apples, but they'll cook in the oven as well. So you don't want them to go too far over. So you can probably cook them while you're rolling out your pastry.
What are we going to
How are you
do?
doing there, Carl?
I think we're gonna
I'm
have
just
to
draining my apples. I'll be back in a second.
Oh, he's
We
draining his
got
apples.
frozen
No,
pastry.
it's okay.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Carl, has everyone else stewed their apples and got them just to that kind of right point to go in the pie? Are yours okay, Kerry? Yes, brilliant. Collie, are yours okay?
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. Okay, excellent. Wonderful stuff. So you can probably, if you're doing this live or if you're just following the video and you're doing it a bit later on, you can be doing this while you're making your pastry, or you can be doing your apples while you're getting your pastry all rolled out and ready to go in the flan case. Because by the time you've done that, you'll probably find your apples have stewed enough. How are you getting on there, Carl?
We're almost there. I've actually got my apples ready to go, but I'm going to get my pastry.
Okay, so Carl's getting his pastry, so we can all get our pastry. Is there a technique for rolling pastry, Carl?
There is. Very, very lightly. And you want it, and you want this to be 8 inches to go on to your plate.
Okay.
Now
you
I've graced my plate because of it being pastry. I don't know if you were supposed to grace it. I haven't been told, but I have graced the plate with a bit of margarine to keep the.
What I quite often do with the case is I grease it a bit, and then I put a little bit of flour into it as well and give it a shake around so that there's flour in there as well. And that means that when you get to pull it out afterwards, it's all done nice and done. Now, are you going to bake it blind first, or are you going to go straight for the stew into?
I'm going to go. I've decided that I'm going to put the frozen pastry at the bottom of the plate.
Okay, right, yeah.
If I can do that. So we want a bit of flour on your work surface. Like so. Not as much, but probably not that much.
Carl,
A little bit of flour on your rolling pin.
Can we
Carl?
see your work surface, please?
Yeah.
We can't see your work surface.
we can only see your tummy.
So it needs to point down to the paste.
No comment.
Right, we've got.
Oh, there we go. Brilliant. That's spot on if you can do that.
That much. About an handful of flour on your work surface. Now, if you can take some off your work surface because you've got too much, or you think you've got too much, and just put a little bit on your rolling pin to keep the rolling pin nice and floury.
Have you got anyone there, Carl, who could hold your camera for you and point it at you?
Not at the moment because they're sorting stuff out.
No, that's a shame. Okay, so show us what it looks like now with the flour on the rolling pin.
Are you using your iPad or something, Carl? Or your tablet? Has it not got a stand?
It probably has, but at the moment I can't get it. I'm busy at this precise second.
Right.
I don't want to
get dough all over it. Yeah, I know. I get the picture.
don't want to be out with it.
Ace.
So we have got the flour on the rolling pin.
Yep, brilliant.
We are now going to take the pastry.
Yep.
And we're going to flour it. Like so.
Okay.
We're going to put it on the work surface and we're going to cover it in flour. Keeping it round. Then we're going to get the rolling pin and very lightly we're going to roll it into a circle to cover your plates.
Am I right in saying the thickness of a 10p piece?
It depends how thick you like your pastry, I guess. But yeah, it's probably about that kind of wide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you do what I do, which is you roll it that way, and then I kind of turn it over and spin it, and then roll it again, and I turn
That's
it
what I'm
over and
doing.
spin it, and roll it again. So you don't want
And then
to
flip it and do the same.
you don't want to play with it too much, as it were. But obviously you want to kind of roll it out evenly. So as you roll it, it'll stretch. So you can lift it up or spin it on the surface and then roll again the opposite direction, and it'll stretch out that way. Does that make sense to everyone?
And then flip it over and repeat.
Absolutely.
What's my bit
And the
wrong?
easiest thing to do is if you put whatever you're putting your pie into over the top, you'll see if it's big enough. It has to be big enough to go across the bottom and up the sides.
Right.
So there we go.
Right,
Can we
so-
see that?
Like so.
That's
Looking
nice.
good, Carl. Looking good,
Can you
Carl.
show us how big it is compared to your pastry case, your plate that you're going to put in?
That's the plate I'm using.
Okay,
That's
if you
how
put it
big
over the
so you can cut
If
the
you-
sides or pull it
if you
together.
put the plate over the top,
You should be able to draw a circle around it.
That
There we go.
to me is big enough to go over the plate.
that's it. Brilliant. So you've got enough room to go up the sides and around the edges slightly.
So I'm going to transfer my pastry onto the plate, which would be to make sure it doesn't break.
How do you transfer your pastry onto the plate, Carl?
You can either put the rolling pin on it and roll your rolling pin across it, or you can do what I was going to do, but I'm going to do it this way because it'd be easier. So you can get your pastry onto your plate. So your pastry is now on your plate.
Okay,
Like
so for
so.
those of you who are having problems with your pastry, have a listen for 2 seconds. If your pastry is on the table like that, if you put your rolling pin on top of the pastry and then peel one edge of the pastry over the top of the rolling pin, so it's folded over the top, you can then use the rolling pin to lift your pastry up in the air, and then you can drape it from the rolling pin onto the plate. How are you doing with that, Holly? Have you managed that?
Maybe.
Nearly. Can you show us what you're doing? Can you point the camera up there so we can see?
Then with the palette knife, you do it with a palette knife.
Okay, there you go. She's got to her pastry point at the moment. Very, very good. And you can, yes, like Carl's saying, you can just pop a palette knife underneath it.
You
if
can either
you
get
want
a
to.
palette knife, or if you've got a sharp knife, please be careful and don't cut your fingers, guys. But slowly, just trim the side of your pastry.
The picture's a bit blurred on your camera, Carl.
Right, I'm just adding Kerry in onto the picture so we can see Kerry, and I'm also adding Holly. I hope you're okay with that, but maybe you can show us how you're doing with your pastry, guys. Because Carl's gone a bit blurred and he's pointing his camera in a different direction.
It's fine.
Big enough for the plate? No,
Not yet there.
not yet. Go on then. Press a bit harder.
Yeah, we've got it back. So,
Press a bit. You're pressing
with your
harder
palette knife or a knife.
when it's near your body.
Right, Carl, if you wait on a second, Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold your horses, mate.
Oh, first of all, if you want to print, put your
Right.
fingerprint on your plate, or do you want me to add on?
You try.
Carl, I'm going to ask you just to pause for a second because other people are still getting their pastry ready. This is the tricky thing, getting the pastry into the plate.
Yeah.
Okay, how are you doing, Kerry? Have you got your pastry into your plate? Yeah, brilliant. Wow, and you trimmed it as well. She's ahead of the game. Well done, Kerry. Excellent. How are you doing, Holly?
Good.
Good. Have you got it in the plate now?
Not yet.
Okay, that's all right. That's good. How's William doing? I can see the back of something there. Looks like the microwave.
What did you say, Steve?
I said, how are you doing, William?
How are we doing? We don't know what to stick the pastry on.
Pyrex, either a Pyrex stick or a
What-
plastic.
What did everybody use?
Have you got a Pyrex dish?
I've got a Pyrex
Okay.
plate.
This one I can't find the bottom, but
We can't find the bottom of it.
Oh, okay. Do you have a cake tray? You know when you make a cake, have you got a kind of round cake tin?
Have we got a round cake tin?
That'll do the job otherwise.
Or a Pyrex.
For a dinner plan.
Or like a silver, like tray. that you-
Dinner plate.
You want to see what we got, Steve?
You could do, yes, a dinner plate you could get away with it if it's deep, like a soup kind of plate, but I don't know if it'll do okay in the oven though. Will a dinner plate do okay in the oven, June?
Yeah.
That we got it, Steve!
Oh, you've got it. Brilliant. Excellent.
Yay.
What are you looking for? The camera. We got this.
Okay, now Andy, at the moment I've got Carl, Holly, Kerry and William pinned. Can you make sure they're pinned so that that goes out live as well? Because then we can see several people working at the same time. That looks brilliant, William.
I've only got William pinned at the moment. I've got everyone else spotlighted though.
Oh,
We
okay. I
got
don't
that
know
one,
the difference
Steve.
between pinning. That would be absolutely perfect. That will do you fine.
That's perfect.
Is that the one we need?
That would be lovely, William.
do we basic butter? What do we do?
Do we base it with butter?
Yes, put some butter on the inside, just lightly butter it so that your pastry is going to come off. And if I do it, I always sprinkle a little bit of flour over the top of the butter as well afterwards. And that just gives you a nice, good surface to cook against.
After. Where you gone, Steve?
I'm still here, you've gone.
Oh,
Spotlight. There we go. I've got you and William spotlighted, Steve.
what?
Good. Can you
what-
make sure Kerry, Carl and Holly are spotlighted as well?
Kerry. Add spotlight. Oh,
Excuse me.
add spotlight. And Holly. There we go. That's how
You
we
can see everyone. I can't see what you see. That's my problem. I just see what I see.
What?
And what you
Is that
see will be
going
what's
in
being filmed. There we go.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way the other week. Just down in the coffee.
What stage are people?
Right, I think Holly, have you got your pastry into your case now, your flan case or whatever?
Yeah.
Yep. So is Kerry, and William's just about to do that, aren't you, William?
Yeah.
all of it in there, or do we have to cut it into?
Do we put it all in there?
Cut it in two. You're going to need some
Cut it
for the
in two.
top.
Into two.
Hope everyone's got some left over from the top. I don't know if Carl mentioned cutting your pastry into two.
It
Yeah,
was
but if
Ken wrote.
it depends on if it's just roll, you can't do that. It takes less the pastry. You have to do. You have to make sure you've got just roll twice. That's why I've done my own pastry as well as.
Okay, people will figure it out, I'm sure. They can do what I used to do, is whatever's
What?
left over in your pastry, you can roll it out again and put slats over the top or something if you haven't got enough for a proper pie lid.
Yep.
Okay, how's everyone's apples doing while William's sorting himself out? Is everyone's apples ready to go?
Or whatever filling you're using. It doesn't have
We're
to.
almost there, Steve.
Well done, William. Are your apples ready to go in, Holly?
Yeah.
Once you're doing,
Brilliant.
once you're doing
I
that.
think Kerry's ahead of the game. She's putting her apples in.
I'm going to put my apples on in a second.
Okay. How are you doing, William?
Good.
How are you all doing, guys?
Okay, I think.
Good.
I can see some apples going into pies.
Ooh, yummy. Yummy, yummy,
Oh,
yummy.
we're going to that stage.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are, yes. I think they're ahead of you now, Carl.
I'm waiting to see what
Good. Good, good, good.
probably are.
I've just done a sunflower. Done
Oh, wow. We'll have a look at that in a bit.
that. Oh, didn't take me long. It only took me a few minutes to do that.
Oh, brilliant, Kerry. That looks gorgeous. Ready to
Kerry,
go.
that looks really yummy.
Mm. Just need to put a top on in a second. What are you doing there, Carl?
Just put my apples into the pie.
Okay.
Like everybody said, they're all ahead of me. Then for flavour, if you would like to, you could put a bit of cinnamon or a bit of nutmeg on top of your apple. And that's got to be, that can go there. That can go up one side for now. And the pastry at the top. I'm on my way.
Do we put
So
that
again,
one
I'm putting my
next?
flour.
We've done the pastry.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, are your apples ready, William?
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you drain your
Drain your
apples.
apples and put your apples on your bottom pastry. Right.
We're looking for something to drain it with.
And again,
There we go.
this needs a colander or a sieve.
We drained it.
William?
Yeah, put that into your apple pie, into your bottom on the bottom pastry.
Bottom pastry.
What?
What did you say?
Put it in your pie on the bottom bit of the pastry where you've done the bottom for the pastry before you put your top on. Explain that again, Steve.
So you got your pastry, in your pastry case, haven't you?
Yeah,
Put the apples into there.
into there.
Put it up. Where's the milk? Yeah, where's the
Milk,
milk?
milk, milk.
Don't worry about milk. You don't need milk at the moment,
What?
unless you're making a cup of tea.
Sorry. I didn't.
It's all right, mate.
Don't panic.
No, don't panic. It's all good fun.
Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. You'll be okay.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
You'll be
don't
fine.
I've got
Don't
milk
panic, Mr. Mannering.
everywhere.
Don't worry.
panic.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I got the reference, Dad's Army.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, Kerry, what was that you were just putting on?
Just getting things
Was it
ready, Steve. I was just getting things ready.
Oh, okay, that's right. I think Holly's. Are you doing some rolling there again, Holly? Are you rolling out the lids there?
Yeah.
Ah, she's a step ahead of us.
Wow.
Now you can do your lids in different ways. You can have it in
Them still okay.
pastry to go over the top normally,
Them
or
still
plastic-
okay.
like plastic strips and attach it over the top.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry
I've
too
seen
much
that
about the
before on
strips. That's quite
pies.
complicated, isn't it?
I've seen that on pies where they put different should I say things on top of the
Then
pie.
after you put the apples in there, what next?
Right. Do you want to add any nutmeg or cinnamon, William?
What cinnamon?
Have you
Flavoring.
got any cinnamon in your kitchen?
Don't make noise like that, Will. Not makes like that. Or cinnamon, if we've got any. If I've got any.
We haven't got.
Is shit. Oh. Right.
Shall we
Disaster,
do? Put the
disaster.
cinnamon on it.
Good
What?
thing this is an adult show, isn't it?
that?
Should we sprinkle the cinnamon over it?
What? That cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah.
Yeah,
Do we
just
have
a
to-
little bit.
Do we
Don't
have
go.
to sprinkle the
Oh,
cinnamon
Mum.
on? Hang on. Do we have to
Yes,
sprinkle?
yes.
Steve, I might have to go. I might have.
Okay, Natalie, if you have to go, that's okay. William, yes, you can sprinkle some cinnamon over the top. Don't put too much on because otherwise it'll taste like crazy cinnamon. So probably the tip of a teaspoon's worth, I would say, about half a teaspoon worth would probably do it. That would probably be enough.
Give it some flavour.
Yes.
Because it's not very nice with it just frying without flavours.
No, you might want to put a teaspoon of sugar over the top as well, just to, if it's cooking apples, then you put some sugar on just to bring the tartness out, to bring the sweetness out.
Just any sugar.
Any sugar, Steve.
Yeah, any sugar will do. Anything that you've got that's sugary, put about a teaspoon again over the top.
Any sugar.
I suspect from Carl's response that he might have had a bit of an incident with some nutmeg or cinnamon. Now Holly's busy what looks like rolling. So I'm guessing she's rolling the lid out already.
That brown sugar. It doesn't want to come out, do you?
Like that? I think.
What?
Let's mix like that. Yeah, I'm just there.
Oh, that looks lovely. That looks lovely. So I think the next thing you need to do then, that looks absolutely beautiful, William. That looks right to me, actually. I can tell from the colour on there. is you need to roll out the rest of your pastry into a circle that's going to go on top of your pie. So if you haven't already done it, that's your next job. I can see Carl's mopping up a bit of a mess there, so I'll just take a few seconds. So again, if you get your pastry and roll it out in a circle, Kerry's ahead of the game. She's already done that. She's rolled out her pastry and put it on the top of her pie, and she's even crimped it down. I'm very impressed with that. Holly, there you go. Have you rolled out your pastry now, Holly?
Yeah.
And have you put it onto the top of your pie? Are you ahead of us all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you put it onto the top of the pie in exactly the same way that you put your pastry into the bottom of the pie. You can use a spatula or you can use your rolling pin and put your rolling pin on the top and fold your pastry over, lift it up in the air and unroll it. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So you can go for that if you like, Holly. Kerry's doing very well. How did you do that beautiful edging, Kerry?
You should use the mum's false teeth.
Steve, I used my thumb. Steve, I did.
Use your thumb and finger. There you go. Frank, you know, when we all get to an age where we can have false teeth, we can do far better crimping, I think. So yes, you can use your thumb and finger, and you basically grip the edge of the edge of your tin, and then you thumb around into the pastry, and you push them together, and you do a crimp like that all the way around the outside. So you kind of squeeze them together.
Alternatively, you can use a fork and go all the way around.
Yeah.
Press it down.
You can use a fork or false teeth.
No. I always used a fork.
Did you?
Yes, yeah.
I
always
grew up
found
with
that
my
you
mum.
could seal together. You can seal the pastry together better with a fork.
My mum always used. My mum always used her thumb and finger, so that's how I learned how to do it.
My mum always used her fingers, but no, I'd probably use a fork and then open the top with the fork.
Oh yes, you have to put your fork in the top. That's a good point, Kerry. Now you've got your lid on, make sure you prick your lid as well, so that you can let out some of the steam, because you don't want it to go woof bang, which would be quite funny.
Yeah, it would.
Oh dear.
Excellent, well done. You're almost ready to go in the oven, Kerry, I think, aren't you? Show us your pie again, Kerry. Show us where you've got to.
Have you got the lid on?
Beautiful pie. She's got the lid on. She's all sorted. She's ahead of
We've
the
got
game.
the lid.
Carl, have you got the lid on now, William? Have you?
Have we? Yeah.
Can you show us it?
Yes, sir. Do I need to put more camera?
That's properly.
Oh, brilliant. Beautiful. And then have you squidged the edges down really tight? So around the edges, you use your fork to push the edges together. So you want to seal the edges of the top and the bottom. Holly, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. So where have you got to? What are you doing?
Put the pastry on the top, and I put the holes on the top.
Oh, brilliant. And have you squeezed the pastry together so it's all
Yeah.
sealed? That's
Yeah.
brilliant, William. That's spot on. That's
What
excellent.
now?
Make sure you prick the top of the pastry 2 or 3 times with your fork. Now, Carl, have you cleared up your mess?
I've got it clear. I've got it sorted up, yes.
What did you spill?
Good, yeah.
What did you spill?
The milk. The milk.
Oh, the milk.
Oh my goodness.
It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But no use crying.
Everywhere, yeah. Overspelt load, hello, we're all the same.
Now, Carl, how are you doing there? Have you got your lid on as well?
Yes,
Brilliant.
I have.
Smashing. And have you sealed it and pricked it as well?
I have pricked it, but I've sealed it.
Okay.
What I want now is...
What after we done that?
Right. We're going to put it in the oven.
2 seconds and I'll be with you guys. For 30 minutes.
I would check it after 20 minutes or so. Now,
I'm going
the
to
thing
show
we-
you how to do...
are you going to glaze it first? Are you going to glaze it first, Carl?
I'm going to glaze it with... I'm going to glaze it, yes. At the
And what
minute,
are you
I'm
going
just
to
cutting the
glaze it with?
pastry
What are you going to glaze it
around the
with?
sides.
Knows when to finish early, that if you want to stay over.
A little bit of egg and milk, or just a bit of egg white.
All you do is sit in the chair where you want and it comes to the way it's easier.
Okay, if you want to do an easy glaze, William and Holly and Kerry, just use a bit of milk, and I would use my fingertips actually. You could, if you've got a pastry brush, that's brilliant. Or if you've got a very, 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 very clean brush, not a sweeping brush like an artist brush, but otherwise just dip your fingers in the milk and just kind of smear it over the top. Kerry's got a pastry brush there, looks like.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you're just going to put not much. You just want to light.
Look at that.
50 pence a bottle. £2.
Oh, God. I think we're going to panic over that.
And then £3 for your powder. £3 for your powder for your nose.
£5. Oh.
Brilliant.
What after we put the lid on?
Brilliant. Steve's froze. Looks as though he's singing. One.
Is Steve back?
Steve's stuck. Oh, he's not. He's acting silly now.
Steve.
Hold on, let me put me on.
Do we have to put it in the oven now?
Show us your pie, William. Let's see what it looks like first of all. Have you glazed it?
You put it in the oven now.
No, glaze it.
Oh, with sugar.
What with?
Milk.
With a little drop of milk, just a little bit of milk. Use your
A
fingers.
little bit of
Dip
milk or egg.
Just go for milk, it's easier, Carl. Dip your fingers into the milk and just smear it on the top, but not very wet at all, just gentle.
What's that called you use?
Steve, did you see Kerry's? She's even made leaves on it.
She's made leaves? No, I missed that. Show
Yeah.
me your leaves, Kerry.
I think they put it in the oven now.
Oh, no. We'll have to see her leaves later on.
That's
Looks
it.
fabulous.
Yeah. That's it.
And after,
After
Gonna be
what
really-
now? After we've glazed it?
Then it goes in the oven for about 20-25 minutes, and I would check it after about 20 minutes. Oh, yes, please, Holly, show me yours.
Then you have to go up.
Hmm?
Then you have to go up.
for 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes.
Yes, oh, that looks beautiful, Holly. Have you glazed it, Holly?
But it says 25 to 30 minutes. But let's go for 20 minutes.
Yeah, Holly, that looks lovely.
20 minutes, yeah?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll pop it in the oven and
Have
then
to
we'll
set
have to
your
keep an eye
timer.
on the time. And we'll have a look in 20 minutes time and see how it is.
Mine's in the oven, Steve. Mine's in the oven.
Yours is in the oven, brilliant. So everyone put
Mine's
their
in
pies
oven, Steve.
Brilliant.
Can I give you a call back in about 10 minutes? No, I'll give you a ring. I'll go to the office and then.
That's me done.
Right, I've set an alarm, and when my alarm goes off, we'll all have a look. Okay, so can we have a 2-minute break while I go make another cup of tea?
Yeah. That sounds a great idea.
Pardon? And then we'll do some macaron if that's okay.
I say.
Right, so quick tea break. We need a tea break after all that. Be back in a minute.
Hang on. Holly, Cole.
I'm back.
Yeah.
You're back, are you? So what stage are you guys at? You put your pies in the oven then? I went to get myself a drink, so I missed your next stage. Have you guys got your pies in the oven?
Mine's already in the oven, yeah.
Right. In that case, then, June, are you ready to do your segment?